How's it going, YouTube? It's Smiggles back again. We're going to do one more video here on Forza 6's new DLC. Now, we've already done the old Hot Rod, which I'm sorry I got the name wrong in the last video. But you know, shit happens and you have to get on with it. So we're going to go, because I've just done a video on my channel, if you want to go look at it in your spare time, of Formula 1 games over the years. So we're going to go down and we're going to get old Alain Prost, Scuderia Ferrari 641 beast of a thing. So famous Mr. Prost, who actually, it's only because I was such a huge fan of F1 over the years, because he held the world record, or held the record for the most victories up until Michael Schumacher overtook him. So he had a fairly illustrious career in F1. I know he drew. I know obviously this is Ferrari he drove, and he definitely drove for Renault and McLaren, and I can't remember who else he drove. He definitely drove for someone else, but I can't remember who he drove for. But no, he was like I remember when I was a kid and I first started getting into F1, like, because he retired in the early 90s. So when he retired, that would have been like I was only early getting into F1, and like the cars back then, like like the tires were just slicks. We'll see if we have something nice that we here to say. Hang on, we get it going.
The late 1980s and early 90s were transformative years for Grand Prix racing. The new McLaren MP44 arrived in 1988 and won 15 of the 16 races that year, with McLaren winning the Constructors' Championship by almost triple the points of the second-place team. It was no stroke of luck either. The McLaren team had two of the all-time best drivers. Unfortunately, they would grow to hate each other. Alain Prost was reigning world champion, and Ayrton Senna was a young, aggressive driver looking to prove he was the best. Although they were teammates, Prost and Senna clashed many times on the racetrack. Senna went on to win the 1988 Drivers' Championship, and Prost won the following year. For the 1990 season, Prost left for Ferrari, but this only intensified one of the greatest rivalries in the history of the sport.
So there you go. It's just a little insight, but that was always the case in F1. Like, obviously, when you talk about great rivalries there, like Ayrton Senna and what's his name, James Hunt, and then in the 90s itself, then Mika Hakkinen and Michael Schumacher. Like, it was always there. See what this sounds like. Wait. Where's the back end? There we go. That's it. That's the good old sound. Right, enough faffing about in here. There's no lights or no nothing, and like you know, you're not going to see a huge amount on the car. Like, there you go. That was the internals of a car back then, obviously. Like, beasts of things. So we're gonna fire this around a track, and I assume it's gonna handle very much like you know, most F1 cars. It'll be fairly grippy. So will we actually do? Let's do the old Circuit de Catalunya, the Grand Prix circuit. We see how we get on. Fire it into the fucking wall now, will you see? But no, like, I'd actually love them. I'd love to see that, like the Mercedes, if they introduced like Mika Hakkinen's car and Michael Schumacher's Ferrari, and I'd love a Jordan car, but that ain't gonna happen. Right. Oh, it's amazing to look how simple they used to look. You know, the driver did an awful lot more back in the day. Oh, it's not that grippy, but then that's why there was all slick tyres on it. I'll warm them up. unless they've been banging us around the track at some reasonable rate. So yeah, it's fairly like if you play Forza, and like, you're gonna know what F1 cars, like even they had the Mazda, well that wasn't an F1 car, but the Mazda, like a Formula 3 style car, and there's a couple of Indy cars, and the Renault, no sorry, not the Renault, it's the Lotus, but it's a Renault engine in it. That F1 cars in it, and there's a good few knocking about there, but I'd love to see a Jordan F1 car, and not just a bloody paint job. And actually, apart from like I shouldn't have done that. Apart from the late 90s when Jordan were really at their peak, like 98, 99, I'd love to see the original Jordan, the Jordan 191, which was the 7-Up car, the green yoke. It was a class looking thing. It was actually voted, a couple of years ago, it was voted one of the nicest looking Formula 1 cars, like in like the top 100, and I think it was like number like 80, number, it was in the 70s or 80s, but it was still good that I got there, and it was the first ever attempt at designing a car. So it was nice, you know, to see that. So I always like it. I like it when Forza do this. I was just looking through it there as well, because I couldn't remember in the previous video what they did, because they did Fast and Furious cars. So they had like a big Dodge, and then they had the big like Jeep that Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, drove in one of them. So like they added those cars, and then the Fallout. It wasn't a Fallout car they added before. It was like a pickup truck, and it had like this. There was like a unique Fallout paint job you could have on it. It's good. If they add actually a few more cars like this into Forza, you're gonna have you'll be able to have a good F1 race in it, of all different generations combining together. Because, you know, cars, this car would have been in the 1990s, and even still it would have been nippy enough to compete with an awful lot of stuff, especially now with Formula 1. Like at Formula 1, the engines are all little like soapbox cars. And why am I all over the place? This is what happens when you just jump into a car and just fire it around the track and hope for the best. But yeah, it's nice to see that we don't forget where sport has been and where it came from, and like good stuff like there, like Goodyear. God, how long ago is it since Goodyear were properly in F1? The old Bridgestone and Michelin dominating it for years. But yeah, it's just a quick old look at the nice beast. Look how high up the driver used to be as well compared to today. Actually, even the car is tiny compared to today's, or not even today's cars, but a couple of years later, it all changed. But anyway, let's quick look at the F1 car by the iconic Frenchman, who's Alain Prost, or I always say Alain Prost. It was just the way it was. But anyway, that is the car, and that's part of the new DLC. And thanks for watching. If you liked the video, give me a like, comment, subscription. As I always say, like with Forza videos, I'm always happy to record other cars and everything else in it, and hopefully actually I'll do something with Cinemad soon, do a couple of races or something. But anyway, thanks for watching. I'll chat to you guys in the next one. Good luck.